everybody. I brought you some presents. So you get a t-shirt if you answer any of the questions. I have about 10 of them, so if you get the wrong size, you can trade off when we finish the presentation. So quick background. My title is All Roads Lead to Decentralization. If you're familiar with the phrase all roads lead to Rome, that's what we're talking about, right? How are we going to get there? Clicker is not working. Can you advance the slide for me? All right, here we go. So what I have done most of my career has been developing technologies, protocols, infrastructure in the telephone business, in the communication, in the internet business. I wrote the original voice over IP protocol, 1994, October 1994. Anyone here uses voice over IP? Every day, all of you? Probably 10 times a day. How much you pay for it? Nothing, zero. But before voice over IP, you used to pay AT&T $3 a minute to call your neighbors or your family overseas. How did we go from $3 a minute to zero? How do we take the power from the phone company and give it back to all of you? Skype, WhatsApp, all of these things are based on the VoIP protocol, voice over IP protocol, okay? Which again, I collected exactly $0 for it by making the patent available to everybody for free. So now we're going to MoIP, money over IP, right? Decentralization, Bitcoin, all that stuff is just money over IP. It's taking the power from the banks, from the centralized institutions, from the people who control your life, and giving it all back to all of us. Anyone in for it? Anyone interested? I didn't hear you. Yes, right? So let's go through it. So the banks are really masters at centralization. 700 years of centralization where they took basically all of our money for free. Most of us give our money for free to the banks. Anyone here is earning more than 1 or 1.5%? Right? One person over there, very smart. Ask her afterwards. What you want a t-shirt for that? He's the one, all right. Okay, you get a t-shirt for breaking the, what do you call it? Hopefully I won't hit anybody with this, right? You ready? Up. So the point is that the bank takes your money, you make a deposit, lends it to your neighbor, gives you less than 1%, charges her 24% on her credit card. It's not their money, it's your money. It's being given to your neighbor. All they're doing is introducing you to your neighbor. They get to keep 95% of the value. Anyone is happy with that? So what are you doing about it? Nothing. 7 billion people on this planet accept that every day your hard-earned money, the stuff you spend most of your time on, you're giving it for free, right? And that's what I'm here to show you how we can change that. So if you look at the history of money, you will see that there is 2,000 years of money being based on gold. And as long as money was based on gold, there was no problem, right? But then we invented something new. In 1971, we created money out of cotton. We detached from the gold standard. It was invented here in the United States of America. And since then, since 1971, the dollar lost 95% of its value because you can print as much money as you want. You want to go to war? Fine, let's print $5 trillion, go to war, right? We want a budget deficit? Sure, let's print $1 trillion a year, create a budget deficit. You understand? That's what happened. And from 1971, there was this separation, a huge separation between the rich and the poor. And what Bitcoin is trying to do, what decentralization is trying to do, is close that gap, is to bring us back to a world where money is only, or value is only attached to something that is actually has work behind it. In the case of Bitcoin, every Bitcoin that was created has exactly the full amount of work put into it. You cannot print Bitcoins out of thin air. There's no deficit. It's a deflationary currency. Now, I know everybody taught you that deflationary is bad. Deflationary is bad for the government. It's very good for you. You understand? That's what people don't get. So let's go through it. Anyone here knows about how fractional reserves work? One person? Maybe? Maybe? All right, take a picture, go through it later on. The point is that the bank is allowed to take $1 from you and make $10 by creating fractional reserve. What people don't understand, and that's why people say, well, the banks are so powerful. How are you, one guy, going to fight against the banks? How can you win against the banks? Well, the point is when you remove $1 from a bank, they have to collapse $10 worth of obligations they created. That's the power we all have. Just like when we left AT&T, and all of our friends left AT&T because they also started using Skype or WhatsApp, they had to come up with new services and new ways to get back to us, right? So the banks don't have a monopoly. The banks do not have something that cannot be replaced with something better. Actually, this system is a system that is causing most of the problems we have, most of the financial problems we have, because we're creating debt that we cannot stand behind. So total world assets, 255 trillion. How much do you think in debt around the world? Huh? 800. Well, you're exaggerating a little bit, but you get a T-shirt for that, for at least going. You ready? Whoop. I didn't practice. So no. So about the same amount. Meaning, all this wealth you guys think that we have, actually, when you look behind the curtain right there, there's nothing there, because all we did is printed tremendous amount of debt, which also created all this value in the stock market. You can see when the government is printing money, the stock market goes up. When the government is trying to suck money out of the environment, out of the economy, the stock market is going down. The government just printed $400 billion. The New York Fed, poof. Anyone heard about it? I had a T-shirt for you if you heard about it. It was all over the news. Oh, yeah. So the problem is we can't live in an environment like this. On the left, banks, all the banks had over 200 billion in 1990. We are left with 4 of them. That's the reason the banks can pay you nothing, because there's no options, there's no alternatives. Now, every day when you make a transaction, you choose, you vote with your pocket. Are you voting to support the banks and centralization, or are you voting to decentralize? Anyone here is voting to decentralize? How many people? I don't have enough T-shirts. I don't have enough T-shirts for all of you, but right? So this is not a little thing. This is a big thing. Every day you use a credit card. Every day you make a deposit. You are voting for more centralization. You're voting for lower interest rates for you to get for your money. That's what you're voting for, because there's 4 banks, guess what? They're going to end up with 1 bank, the way we're going. These 4 banks charged the poorest Americans last year $34 billion in just overdraft fees. So these banks went in, grabbed $34 billion from the poorest Americans and gave it to whom? Who did all the profits go to? Who's the largest shareholder of Bank of America, Wells Fargo? No, it's a guy that actually owns this town too. He sells all the electricity in this town. Warren Buffett, your friend Warren Buffett. He's the guy who collects the most money out of these banks by being the largest shareholder, collecting quarterly dividends. If you don't believe me, look it up. So anyway, the point is, there are a lot of ways for us to improve this, a lot of ways for us to fight this. We just need to get together and act as one. If all of us use a voice app, then the phone companies have no power. If all of us use decentralized applications, like, for example, there's plenty of them. There's plenty of companies that do that. You can then make the change. I'm going to skip a few slides because we don't have enough time. But this is what I was telling you, right? 24% in the banking model, you get 1%. We're replacing that with something where the borrower pays 9% and the depositor gets 7%. Isn't that a more fair system? The depositor gets 7%. If you download the Celsius app right now, whatever you deposit in is being lent out. You get to keep 80% of that. I think that's a much more fair system than what we have today. If you look at the last 10 years with Satoshi, I don't have time to go through all of it, but basically we had to hand off the baton 4 times. We had the anarchists, then we had the libertarians, then we had the speculators, right? And then we had the institutions. But basically, we do not have enough users in the crypto world, in the decentralized movement, to get to mass adoption. And what we need to do is replace that we need to create a killer app. In my view, interest income is the killer app. 7 billion people need interest income. They want to earn more on their hard-earned money. And that's what no one is providing. Not here, and not in Europe, and not in Asia. Everywhere, the world is going to negative rates. And it's all because none of us got together and decided we're not going to take this anymore. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. Now, I did it once. I won against the phone companies, right? That was when I started the company, my company Arbanet in 1995. People laughed at me. They're like, Alex, you're going to take on the phone companies? I was 25 years old, you know? And now people are laughing at me again. They're saying, are you going to take on the phone? You're going to take on the banks? Well, we have 80,000 users from 170 countries, and they gave us already over $400 million. Instead of giving it to the bank, they sent it to us and said, here, take care of my money, take care of my Bitcoin, take care of my Ethereum, and we pay them interest between 3 and 7%. You can earn it too. Why? Because we give 80% of what we earn to the depositors. It's a very simple concept. It's just no one has done this. No one was crazy enough to give 80% to the depositor. You know? Why give him 80% if you can give him 0? So, all of my special effects are now working here. Can you skip the slides? All right, so we need to get to mass adoption. To get there, you know, we already went through 2 steps. We had Bitcoin, then we had Ethereum, right? And now we need something to cross the chasm. We need something to get to mass adoption. And again, in my view, we need to give people something that everyone on the planet needs. Insurance for doomsday, which is Bitcoin, is not something everybody needs, okay? A smart contract that does magic stuff, like Ethereum, is not something that everyone needs. But you tell people they can earn real interest on their money, and this is an organization that acts in their best interest at all times. Celsius represents the depositor. We never represent anybody else. Do you think JP Morgan represents your best interest? How about Wells Fargo? I say bad things about banks every day. Don't worry. You know, you're fine. You're allowed to say that, right? But all of us have this hate relationship, not love-hate, just hate relationship with our banks. Anyone here hates the banks? Come on. Oh, here we go. All right, one over there, one over there. All right? I'm sure I hate everybody who hates a bank, right? So the point is, we're not doing anything about it. And all I'm not asking you to go and quit your job and do what I'm doing. I quit. I ran a public company, used to make several $1 million a year. I quit all of that to start Celsius because no one else was doing shit about it. My wife still asks me, why are you doing that? So is the solution security tokens? My answer is no. Security tokens are not helping you. Anyone here? It's not going to help you with anything. Libra, anyone here is a big supporter of Libra? Good, because if there was, I would come and get you, you know? I mean, that's bullshit from the guy who brought you fake friends and come on, you know? And fake news, he's going to bring you a fake blockchain. Seriously? Stable coins are a stepping stone. Stable coins are an easy way for most people who don't understand Bitcoin. You take your dollars, they go into an FDIC-insured account with a custodian like Coinbase, and then you earn 7% on that. You can give the same dollars to your bank and they'll earn 1%. How hard is that? Buy USDC from Coinbase, deposit it, and you'll earn 7%. 7.5% actually right now. So borrow at 9, get paid 7. These are all the coins we have. Download the wallet, it's really easy, the Celsius network. And again, we've done over $4 billion in loans. Ask your bank how much they've done in loans. They're not there to lend, they're there to steal from you. They take your money and they just, am I lying? JP Morgan made $30 billion in profit from your deposits last year in profit. Did they send you a thank you note? A toaster? Anything? Right? That. So the point is, you want someone who's actually representing your best interest. I'll skip it. So a few things to remember, right? Cryptocurrencies are like going from VoIP to MOIP, right? Exchanges are a place where they socialize losses, where we are a place where we socialize profits, right? Decentralization is a war. It's a war between toll collectors and users. You are the users. Let's stop giving all of our money for free to the toll collectors. The next 100 million users are going to come from all of us joining. And they're all looking for less volatility and more utility, right? Bitcoin is just a doomsday insurance policy, but it's a great one. But we need other use cases. Stable coins are here for everyday interest. Crypto here to replace the middleman with middleware, right? And a prediction, Bitcoin will replace gold, Ethereum will replace the banks. Living with banks is like living in a bad marriage. Anyone here interested in that? Right? So BTC is a deflationary currency. Low inflation is good for the already rich. Low unemployment is only good for the status quo. It's not good for any of you. That's the Fed mandate. You think the Fed is acting in your best interest? You don't understand anything. The Fed was created by the largest bank in the United States. If you don't know the history of the Fed, go look it up, right? The dollar is a horrible store of value. It lost 95% of its value, right? The Bitcoin is a bad store of payment, but it's an excellent store of value. It's just had its 10-year anniversary. It's up 9 million%. The best stock, which is Netflix, is up only 4,000% during the same period of time. 2,000 times better than the best stock on Wall Street. Debt is borrowing from the future. Every time we go to war, every time we print dollars, all we're doing is stealing from our children and grandchildren. They're kicking me off stage, so I gotta go. All right, let me go to the punchline. Stop asking what Satoshi can do for you. Ask what you can do for Satoshi. Vote with your wallet, and here are a few more t-shirts. Thank you very much. I'll be here to answer your questions. And